I'm the parent of an 8-year-old nonverbal autistic boy that attends Green Park Elementary. My son attends general education 85% of the time, but requires a one-on-one paraeducator almost 100% of the time. On September 13th, 2023, I was approached by a fellow Green Park mom who happens to work as a para as well for Walla Public Schools at Bernie. She alerted me that when she would drop her kids off at school at Green Park, she witnessed my son under the supervision of recent former employee that is currently being investigated for child stalking grooming. I, as his parent, was never made aware of the situation and this person being involved with my child at school. As you can imagine, the shock, anger, confusion, sadness, fear, and disgust that would make a parent feel. The fact that this individual was transferred after the incidents at Bernie, let alone to work as a one-on-one paraeducator to a nonverbal child, is shameful and appalling. My question for the individuals that allowed this to happen: if this man is capable of attempting to groom a neurotypical child, what would stop him from taking advantage of a non-speaking disabled child? I reached out to my son's principal last week regarding the situation and requesting records, and he directed me towards the Walla School District HR department and assured me that they would be getting in touch with me soon. I reached out today as well. I still have not heard from them. I'm not surprised. I have many more questions as well as statements to make, but unfortunately, I'm only allowed 3 minutes. I will end my time by saying this. For those of you who are fully aware of the situation and still allowed this to happen, shame on you. Your job is to protect these children, not put them in harm's way, and that's exactly what you did. And if you think this will be the last time you see my face or you hear my voice, you are mistaken.
Thank you, Lacey. That was excellent. I know that you were hoping that the Bernie Elementary situation would fade away. It is not. And even though the principal stepped down today, we still need answers. Here is my main concern. In October of 2022, when the 27-year-old adult male paraeducator entered the classroom of the 10-year-old elementary student and handed her a note that was written in invisible ink, and the only way she could read it was with the black light pen, which he had already given to her. And just to set the record straight, the mom had no prior knowledge of the black light pen. It was not given as a birthday present as previously reported by the Union Bulletin. After he gave her the invisible note, both the classroom teacher and the mother of the 10-year-old reported it to the principal because that's how the chain of command works. I personally want to know, as a mother, a grandmother, and a taxpayer of the Walla Walla School District, why was the 27-year-old adult male not fired by the end of that day? Why, after 2 months, did you all decide to move him to another elementary school and have him work with special needs students? And why, in God's name, did you allow him to work with those more vulnerable students? Knowing what had been reported about him, you allowed that man to work for 5 months with those special education children before you put him on administrative leave, and then you allowed him to resign. Why?
Sarah? Good evening. I would like to remind the school board that at the last meeting, you were given information and an opportunity to show the community what you stand for. At that moment, you had a choice to make. Figure out what happened, own the mistakes of the school district, hold people accountable for not following professional staff-student boundaries procedures, and apologize to the family affected. Or not own your crap, pretend to make policy changes that don't change outcomes. Unfortunately, it seems you have chosen the latter. You continue to think that since you said an internal investigation was done, that everything should be hunky-dory. But when it comes to our kids, that is not an acceptable answer. The new and improved staff-student boundaries procedure that has just as many loopholes as the last procedure. But honestly, in the Bernie incident, I do not believe the current procedure was not followed. So this leads me to believe that this procedure is worth about as much as the papers it's printed on and nothing more. We are tired of cheap talk of best practices. You can confer with whomever you want, consult OSPI as much as you'd like, but until it changes how things are handled, it doesn't mean anything. Are you aware of the definition of grooming? Grooming is when someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. While grooming is only criminal once an illegal act has been committed, I would hope the whole point of this boundary conversation is that we would not let it get that far. There has already been too much trauma. What is even more troubling and downright wrong is that you let this employee resign. You also moved the employee while under investigation, unless he wasn't under investigation. And then I guess the question is, why was he not under investigation? Why is it that someone has to put in complaint after complaint and see nothing happen? In fact, based on the timeline, it looks as if the district only had the employee resign after the family went to the police. Let me just say how bad that looks. Would anything have even happened had someone not gone to the police? Would this person still be employed by the district working with nonverbal autistic kids, our most vulnerable? This, once again, totally sickens and disgusts me. There are so many parts of the current procedure that were not followed. So does voting tonight on a new procedure change anything? Quit saying safety is your #1 priority when your actions say the opposite. Today, you have allowed the principal to resign. Again, this ultimately doesn't keep our kids safe.
Michelle? Manila?
Hello, my name is Michelle Monda. I'd like to make a statement regarding the current situation involving Bernie Elementary. This is not the first time the administration, and we know who it's led by, have protected an employee named Chandler to mistreat a child under their care. Although the specific mistreatment that I'm speaking about was not in a grooming nature, it was aggressive, involving physical abuse, resulting external and internal scarring and years of trauma on a 7-year-old. The administration chose to protect the aggressor and swept it under the rug when we sought help. My question for you is, how long will you allow this to continue, and when will you protect the kids?